Hello, and welcome. This is a long, very long story about ancient Egypt. It is not meant to excite you. It is not meant to keep you awake. It is meant to help you relax, to calm your mind, and perhaps to fall asleep. So lie down, get comfortable, close your eyes if you wish, and let the slow, steady history of ancient Egypt carry you away. The Nile River, ancient Egypt, began with the Nile River. The Nile is very long, about 4,132 miles long. That is about 6,653 kilometers. Every year, the Nile flooded. Every year, the floodwaters left behind rich black soil. The people of Egypt used that soil to grow food. Without the Nile, there would be no Egypt. With the Nile, there was Egypt. Life was slow and calm along the river. Villages grew, people farmed, and little by little, a great civilization began. The Old Kingdom historians call the first great period the Old Kingdom. It lasted from around 2686 to 2181 before the Common Era. That is, about 500 years, half a millennium, a very long time. During the Old Kingdom, Egypt was ruled by pharaohs. The pharaoh was not just a king, he was seen as a god, a living god, on earth. The pharaohs built pyramids. The pyramids were very large, made of stone, one stone on top of another, for thousands and thousands of stones. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built during this time. It is made of about 2.3 million blocks of stone. Each block weighs about 2.5 tons. That is very heavy, and yet they moved them, one stone after another, for many years. Imagine being one of the workers, carrying a stone in the hot desert sun, day after day, year after year, stone after stone, slow, steady, endless work. Daily life. Life in ancient Egypt was also slow. Farmers grew wheat and barley and flax. They made bread and beer. They fished in the Nile. They raised animals like cattle and goats. Houses were simple, made of mud bricks, with flat roofs and small rooms. Inside, it was cool and dark. Outside, it was bright and hot. The sun was always shining. The desert was always there. And so, life continued. The Nile flooded. The people farmed. The pharaoh ruled. And Egypt grew. The Middle Kingdom. After the Old Kingdom ended, Egypt entered a time of change. Historians call this time the Middle Kingdom. It lasted from around 2055 to 1650 before the Common Era. That is about 400 years, a very long time. During the Middle Kingdom, Egypt was reunited under strong rulers. The capital city moved to Thebes. The pharaohs worked to bring order. They built temples and canals. They improved farming. Art and literature also grew. Stories and poems were written. Sculptures and carvings became common. The Middle Kingdom is often called a classical age. The rulers were powerful but not as distant as before. Pharaohs wanted to be seen as protectors of the people. They showed care for farmers and workers. This made them popular. Daily life in the Middle Kingdom. People continued to farm along the Nile. They planted wheat and barley. They raised cattle, sheep, and goats. They grew vegetables and fruits. Trade increased. Egyptians traded with Nubia to the south. They traded with the Near East. They brought gold, ivory, and cedar wood. In return, they gave grain, papyrus, and linen. Life was organized and steady. Most people worked in farming. Some were craftsmen making pottery or jewelry. Some were soldiers in the army. Some were scribes writing records on papyrus scrolls. Religion was still very important. People believed in many gods. They prayed for good harvests and protection. They believed in life after death. Tombs were still built, but smaller than the Great Pyramids. End of the Middle Kingdom. Over time, the Middle Kingdom became weak. Local rulers gained more power. Foreign groups called the Hyksos moved into Egypt. They used new weapons like horse-drawn chariots. Eventually, the Hyksos took control of parts of Egypt. This ended the Middle Kingdom. It was a time of change and challenge. But Egypt would rise again, and the new kingdom would begin. After the Hyksos were defeated, Egypt entered a new era. Historians call it the New Kingdom. It lasted from around 1550 to 1070 before the Common Era. Nearly 500 years, a very long time. The New Kingdom was Egypt's most powerful age. Pharaohs ruled with strength and wealth. The empire expanded into Nubia and the Near East. Armies marched across deserts and rivers. Egypt became rich from trade and conquest. The pharaohs of the New Kingdom, one famous pharaoh was Hatshepsut. She was a woman who ruled as a king. She wore the royal crown. She built great temples. She sent ships on long trade journeys. Her reign brought peace and prosperity. Another famous pharaoh was Thutmose III. He was a warrior king. He led many battles. He expanded Egypt's empire. He was called the Napoleon of Egypt. Perhaps the most famous of all was Akhenaten. He changed religion. He said Egypt should worship only one god. That god was Aten, the sun disk. This was very unusual. Many people resisted. After Akhenaten's death, Egypt returned to the old gods. Tutankhamun came after Akhenaten. He is often called King Tut. He became pharaoh when he was a boy. He died young. His tomb was discovered in 1922 by Howard Carter. It was filled with treasures. Today, King Tut is one of the most famous pharaohs in the world. Another powerful ruler was Ramses II. He is sometimes called Ramses the Great. He ruled for 66 years. That is a very long reign. He built enormous temples. He fought in battles like the Battle of Kadesh. He left behind statues, carvings, and monuments. Many still stand today. Life in the New Kingdom. Life for ordinary people was busy but steady. Farmers worked along the Nile. Craftsmen built temples and tombs. Scribes kept careful records. Soldiers defended Egypt's borders. Temples became very large and impressive. One famous temple is at Karnak. Another is at Luxor. These temples were decorated with columns, carvings, and paintings. Priests performed rituals to honor the gods. Religion was everywhere. The Valley of the Kings became the new burial place. Pharaohs were buried in hidden tombs cut into the rock. This was meant to protect them from tomb robbers. Inside the tombs were chambers filled with treasures, paintings, and texts. The Book of the Dead guided the spirit into the afterlife. The end of the New Kingdom. Over time, Egypt grew weaker again. Wars drained resources. Priests gained more power. Foreign invaders attacked from outside. By around 1070 before the Common Era, the New Kingdom ended. Egypt entered another period of decline. But the memory of this golden age remained. The great temples and tombs of the New Kingdom still stand today. After the New Kingdom ended, Egypt faced many troubles. It was around 1069 before the Common Era. The power of the pharaohs grew weaker. Priests and local rulers gained control. Egypt was no longer united and strong. Foreign powers began to interfere. From the west came the Libyans. From the south came the Nubians. From the east came the Assyrians. Each group ruled Egypt for a time. Despite this, Egypt still built temples. Art and writing continued. But the glory of the New Kingdom was gone. The country was often divided. The Persian conquest. In the 6th century before the Common Era, a new power rose. The Persians conquered Egypt. They made Egypt part of their vast empire. Persian kings ruled as pharaohs. Some Egyptians accepted this. Others resisted. The Persians built forts and collected taxes. They allowed temples to remain open. But Egyptians no longer ruled themselves. This was a great change, the arrival of Alexander the Great. In 332 before the Common Era, Alexander the Great came to Egypt. He defeated the Persians. He was welcomed as a liberator. Alexander founded the city of Alexandria. It became a great center of learning. After his death, his general Ptolemy took control. The Ptolemaic dynasty. Ptolemy and his descendants ruled Egypt for nearly 3 centuries. They were Greek kings, but took the title of Pharaoh. They built temples in the Egyptian style. They ruled from Alexandria. The famous Library of Alexandria was created. Life mixed Greek and Egyptian culture. Greek was spoken in cities. Egyptian traditions continued in villages. The Ptolemies became very wealthy. One of the last rulers was Cleopatra VII. She is remembered as a powerful and clever queen. She formed alliances with Julius Caesar and later with Mark Antony. Her story is famous even today, the Roman conquest. After the death of Cleopatra in 30 before the Common Era, Egypt became part of Rome. It was no longer ruled by pharaohs. It was now a Roman province. The long history of ancient Egypt had ended. But the monuments remained, the pyramids, the temples, the tombs. They still stand as reminders of a great civilization. Most Egyptians were farmers. They lived in small mud brick houses. They grew wheat and barley. They raised cattle, goats, and geese. The Nile gave them water and fertile land. Craftsmen worked in towns. They made pottery, jewelry, and tools. Scribes learned to write. They recorded taxes and trade. Soldiers guarded the borders. Children played with dolls and wooden toys. Families celebrated festivals. Life was simple but full of tradition. Religion and beliefs. Religion touched every part of life. Egyptians believed in many gods: Ra, the sun god; Osiris, god of the afterlife; Isis, goddess of magic; Anubis, guardian of the dead. Temples were homes for the gods. Priests performed daily rituals. People prayed for health, safety, and good harvests. The afterlife was very important. Egyptians believed the soul lived on. They preserved the body through mummification. They placed food, clothes, and treasures in tombs. The soul needed these for its journey. The heart was weighed against the feather of truth. If it was light, the soul entered paradise. If it was heavy, it was destroyed forever. The legacy of ancient Egypt. Egypt lasted for thousands of years. It created great art, temples, and monuments. The pyramids remain wonders of the world. Hieroglyphs were one of the earliest forms of writing. Egyptian knowledge of medicine, math, and astronomy influenced later cultures. Even today, people are fascinated by Egypt. Tourists visit the pyramids of Giza. They sail the Nile. They walk through the temples of Luxor and Karnak. They admire treasures in museums around the world. The story of Egypt continues to inspire. Its history is long and rich. Its monuments are timeless. Its culture shaped the world. Closing. And now our journey comes to an end. From the Old Kingdom to the Roman Empire, from the pyramids to Cleopatra, Egypt's story has flowed like the Nile itself. Steady, powerful, eternal. Close your eyes. Let your mind rest with the sands of Egypt and drift peacefully into sleep.